Right now at noon, some new bills on education are moving through the state legislature. How your school could be affected in evaluation, policies, and curriculum. Plus, the WIAA votes to ban transgender women from girls' sports. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Breiter. At the state capitol, new bills are advancing through the legislature that could reshape education in Wisconsin. They look to reverse changes to school evaluation processes. This refers to changes in the Department of Public Instruction made last year. Critics argue the move makes comparing student outcomes year over year more difficult.
I know firsthand what it does to a community when that happens. We have to establish some oversight. This is a common sense, simple bill.
We should be investing in our schools. We should be investing in our children. What we have before us today in this bill and the other bills are political gamesmanship.
This bill is part of a package in the legislature related to education. Other bills include a statewide ban on cell phones in classrooms. It would force districts to create cell phone policies. They could make exceptions, like for emergencies or to manage a student's health. Another bill would mandate that schools teach cursive writing. A report by Education Week shows 24 states require that cursive can be taught. The bills passed along near party lines. The Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association, or WIAA, is banning transgender girls from competing in girls' sports. Executive Director Stephanie Hauser says the board voted to comply with new federal directives. The decision follows similar action by the NCAA earlier this month. Republican lawmakers who previously pushed for a statewide ban are praising this move.
Yes, I am elated. And I will tell you, we planned on reintroducing the women in sports legislation. I'm glad the WIAA joined the NCAA and used some common sense, keeping women's sports for women.
The WIAA does not keep a tally of transgender athletes, so no one knows how many students will be affected.
The number is likely very small, but I think what's really important is that, trans kids, like any kid, just really want to be part of a team, right? Adopting a rule that says you can't be part of that team, that's harmful to our kids, and that teaches the wrong lessons to their teammates.
This policy repeals a previous WIAA policy enacted in 2013. It states, quote, denying a student the opportunity to participate on a sports team consistent with his or her gender identity is likely prohibited sex discrimination, end quote. Well, warmer temperatures are finally on the way. First Warn meteorologist Blaze Keller has your certified most accurate forecast. It's feeling pretty nice outside today, Blaze.
It is, yeah. I probably don't need this thick winter coat, at least because I'm in the sunshine, but still wear it. Do as I say, not as I do. I think that's the phrase there. Temperatures are in the double digits. We've got 20s up there in parts of Juneau and Adams County, a little bit cooler here in Madison, but most of us are sitting right around 15, 16 degrees, a little warmer, a little bit cooler depending on where you're at. 20 in Middleton, 20 there in Waunakee, as well as in Sauk City. I'm going to apologize. The glare from all the sunshine is kind of not allowing me to see the numbers, but I will take the sunshine. I have been missing it over these last few days. There was a bit of a wind chill. Again, we still have the snow on the ground. There's just a little bit of a breeze. Winds are still out of the north. So again, do as I say, not as I do. Wear that jacket today. Wear the gloves as well. Now that we're kind of quieting down from the snow, we're up to 17 and nearly a half inches of snow through the entire winter season from the start of December through yesterday's date, but we're still falling short of our average over the years from the start of December through yesterday's date, which is about 26 inches. So we could use a little bit more, but maybe for some folks this is enough. We'll still add a few more chances for at least a wintry mix in our extended forecast. So we'll touch on that here in just a few minutes. But for now, Josh and folks at home, we're going to remain quiet. Mostly clear to clear conditions. Back into the 20s we go, and we're going to double our high temperatures as we go into the start of next week. That means 40s, mid 40s, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Next week, we're going to talk about that. And as I mentioned, a wintry mix chance or two in the extended forecast. We'll track that out in just a few minutes.
Sorry, not sorry you can't see outside. I'll take the sun.
I know, it's great.
Thanks, Blaze. We'll see you in a few. Well, right now, the Department of Agriculture reports more than 40% of the country's farm workers are undocumented. In Wisconsin, more than 10,000 undocumented migrants work dairy farms. At 18, Kevin crossed the border illegally from Mexico. He now works in Wamandi, Wisconsin, at John Roseno's farm. Kevin says he often works 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, sometimes starting as early as 3 in the morning. But he says the pay is better than back home. Rosno is a fifth-generation farmer. 90% of his workers are immigrants, and he says if all undocumented immigrants were deported, he would likely go out of business.
If I hired Americans to do the work, I would have to pay probably about $100,000 a year per person, and they would only work 40, 50 hours a week. I would be out of business within 6 months.
Rosno says he fears for the future. Meanwhile, Kevin does not. Kevin says 4 years ago he was scared to go out and buy groceries when President Trump said he would deport all undocumented immigrants. But Kevin says it never happened. Right now, a war of words is erupting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. It comes as the president's envoy to Ukraine traveled to the state for meetings. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
President Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, retired General Keith Kellogg, met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Thursday, with a public feud between the U.S. president and Zelensky escalating.
I'd like to find out all the money that we've been sending to Ukraine. Where is it?
President Trump claimed Ukraine talked the U.S. into sending $350 billion for the war with Russia, but government data shows U.S. funding at about $183 billion, the vast majority appropriated by Congress. On social media, Trump also called Zelensky a dictator without elections. In 2019, Zelensky was elected by a landslide. Now elections there are suspended because of the war Russia started. In Kharkiv, Ukrainians defended Zelensky. This woman said, "I support Ukraine. I support our president. What Trump said is nonsense." Following talks this week between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his Russian counterpart, the Trump administration is trying to push back on concerns from European allies that Ukraine has been left out of the negotiations. President Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, appeared on Fox News this morning.
We are consulting our allies. We're consulting the Ukrainians. There's a term for this in diplomacy. It's called shuttle diplomacy, because bringing everybody to the table at once just hasn't worked in the past.
The Trump administration is also pushing Ukraine to sign off on a proposal to give the U.S. access to the country's rare earth minerals. President Zelensky rejected the initial offer, saying it would need to be tied to security guarantees for Ukraine. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The Associated Press reports a planned news conference after talks between Zelensky and President Trump's Ukraine envoy was canceled Thursday. A Ukrainian spokesman says the change was requested by the U.S. side. A reminder, the Spirit of Service campaign is underway as we look to honor our local veterans making a positive impact in the community. News 3 Now is partnering with Vortex to give back to veterans. All you have to do is log on to channel3000.com and nominate a veteran in your life doing something good. Over the coming weeks, we'll be sharing their stories, and you'll get to vote and choose which veteran gets to take home that $5,000 cash prize. A winner will be announced in early April. Still ahead for us on a Thursday afternoon, Apple unveils its new budget-friendly smartphone, plus what offer Delta Airlines is making to passengers who were on that plane that crashed in Toronto.
With tax filing season underway, CBS News has learned thousands of Internal Revenue Service employees are expected to be laid off by the end of this week. That's according to a source familiar with the agency's plans. An internal memo obtained by CBS News also shows that more than half of those affected will likely be new hires with probationary status. The IRS is the latest federal agency impacted by aggressive federal workforce cuts carried out by the Trump administration. Delta Airlines says it's offering $30,000 to passengers in this week's crash at a Toronto airport. All 76 passengers and 4 crew members on board survived, though Delta says at least 21 people were injured when the regional jet crash landed and flipped upside down. A Delta spokesperson says this gesture has no strings attached and does not affect rights. And Apple has unveiled its new budget-friendly smartphone, the iPhone 16e. The 16e touts new AI features, strong battery power, and it comes in 2 colors, black and white. Pricing starts at $599, slightly more than the company's discontinued budget model, the iPhone SE. Pre-orders start this Friday. The iPhone 16e hits store shelves next week. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Chanel Call.
Here's the stock report at the noon hour. The Dow is down 639 points, Nasdaq down 174, and the S&P 500 down this hour 39. Pam Bianchi has your farm numbers straight ahead, and Blaze returns with the first warn forecast. Then later on Live at 4, Angie Horkin stops by with 2 beef recipes perfect for this time of year. Welcome back. Let's check in with Pam Bianchi from the Midwest Farm Report. We're finally getting out of that deep freeze, Pam.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that news, and I'm happy to have that story about John Rosenow up in the Wamandee Valley. He's a pretty cool dairy operator. One thing that the story didn't get a chance to explain is how John and his family go to Mexico or wherever their employees' families are, so they get a better sense of the culture that those employees are coming from. And he's been doing this routinely for years to make sure that they better understand those folks that are coming to do such hard work on his dairy in the Wamandee Valley. Cool story. Thank you for that. Here's another cool story about a dairy farmer in Fond du Lac County that was named the Compure Financial Groundbreaker 2025. His name is Evan Schroth, and he is a dairy farmer, and he has been one through and through since he was 2 years old. His parents, to punish him when he was a kid, used to keep him away from the farm because he so loves farming and his cows. Started buying cows when he was at a young age, at least 18 years of age, was milking cows while he was going to school. He's also a coach for Campbellsport football. Today, he and his wife Taylor are parents of 3 young daughters. Evan says what he wants to do is try to grow his dairy slowly so that he can get to a point where he can afford robots so that he has time to spend with his girls when they get a little bit older and are involved in sports and things like that. Congratulations again to Evan and Taylor Schroth, who are Cloven View Farms up in Fond du Lac, named Compure Financial's Groundbreakers 2025. Boy, and if you want to hear more about their story, pop on over to my website, my podcast, MidwestFarmReport.com. Evan and I sat down and had a great conversation about the passion that drives him. And he's also got a passion for Guernsey cows, which we don't hear a lot about anymore in Wisconsin. But like I said, you can listen in at MidwestFarmReport.com. So we're kind of starting to get the feel that maybe the markets are teeing up some of those prices in case March 1st brings with it tariffs against one of our major trade partners like Mexico. That is by far where most of our dairy products are exported. Today in Chicago, barrel cheese down 2 1/4 at 178.5. 40-pound block cheese up 1/4 cent at 190. AA butter down 1 3/4, 242 1/4. You just get the feeling that the market's trying to get our prices in a comfortable zone. So if we're victims of retaliatory tariffs, we can still try to get that product into Mexico, even if there's a surcharge on it. But March 1st is a little ways off, so we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's crazy that March is right around the corner, too. I don't know where February is going after such a long January, Pam.
Well, with the temperatures we've been having, it can go out the door as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Pam, good to talk to you.
See you later, buddy. Well,
let's get to that first warn forecast now with meteorologist Blaze Keller. And it's Thursday, so that means Blaze has a special little friend. Who do we have there, Blaze?
A whole planet of love. Pluto. Oh. And we're going to talk about Pluto and his brother Jiminy in just a moment. But he's adorable, so I might get easily distracted here. 40s next week. It's saying we're finally saying goodbye to the cold. We've had a couple of cold days, to say the least, temperature-wise, wind chill-wise, but we're not quite done with winter yet. We may still see that return of a wintry mix here by the end of our extended forecast. High pressure overhead is the reason why we're going to stay sunny and quiet over the next few days. It's beginning to slide off towards the east, and so what that means is southerly winds on the backside of this high pressure system are really going to help warm us up as we go into the weekend and then further into next week. And we're going to be breezy as we go into Saturday because we have to move up that warmer air. Oh, little baby, are you tired? You can take a little nap. High pressure is going to move off to the east. We're not going to see another low pressure system move on in. We're just going to continue to see warmer temperatures move on in. And you can see that with our winds. They're out of the north today, which is why they're colder, our temperatures. But southwesterly winds take over as we go into your Friday and then continue into Saturday. And I mentioned southwesterly because that southwesterly wind component, as opposed to just southerly winds or even southeasterly winds, just add that little extra bit of warmth overhead. So watch as our temperatures go into the mid to upper 30s Sunday, and we're going to continue to be even warmer as we go into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. The jet stream is essentially overhead as we go into next week, which is why we're kind of in the middle ground of warmer temperatures and then cooler temperatures just off to our north and east. But we could easily get into those 40s by next week. And for little puppies like Pluto and Jiminy, who are only 10 weeks old, the warmer temperatures are going to be really nice for them to get out and play. Take a look as we go over the next 6 to 10 days. We're kind of on that edge of being warmer than average, but we see that bullseye of confidence, that 80 to 90% over the Dakotas. And again, it's not necessarily the darker the red, the warmer will be. It's just the higher the confidence level. But we are still in winter, so as we look towards the end of February into the start of March, we may slip back into some cooler than average temperatures. But also we've rounded out the coolest point of the year, so now our average highs and our daytime highs and our overnight lows, they're starting to warm on up. So any temperature essentially cooler than 33 degrees is going to be considered cooler than average, or on the flip side of that, any temperature warmer than that is going to be warmer than average. So when we're in those 40s, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think he's already tuckered out. We're about 10 degrees warmer than average, so we'll be back into those 40s. Take a look at that 10-day forecast. Not only are we warmer, but we're also staying dry as well. So we'll chip away a little bit at the snowpack on the ground, which isn't necessarily bad. We can maybe get some of that into the ground, freeze it, and then we can really tap into it as we go into spring. But we'll add back a few wintry mix chances as we go into the second half of next week, starting mainly Thursday, and then again by that following Saturday.
I'm sorry, I wasn't even listening to you because Pluto's just too cute.
I'm trying to stand on my tiptoes. He is just asleep right now.
Oh, I love it. Well, we're going to learn more about them coming up here in just a few minutes. Blaze, thank you. Howard has the perfect side dish for us in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
When it comes to dinner, whether you're just throwing something together during the week or you're planning on fussing all weekend long, you want to make sure you have a good go-along to round out the meal. So when we came up with this creamy potato casserole, which is fast and fancy, I knew I needed to share it with you. We start by mixing a can of cream of chicken soup with a bit of butter. Now, we add some sour cream and a few off-the-shelf spices. After it's mixed well, we add some frozen hash brown potatoes that we've thawed, and we toss everything together, making sure the potatoes are well coated. This goes into a baking dish, and for the part that really makes it stand out, we top it with a mixture of seasoned breadcrumbs mixed with a bit of Parmesan cheese. Now we'll pop this into the oven until it's heated through and the topping is golden and crispy. And whether you serve this with a burger or roast pork, you can't go wrong. It's creamy, it's satisfying, and it goes with everything. To get the recipe for our anytime potatoes, simply visit our website. I know you'll be glad you did. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an amazing anytime way for you to say, ooh, it's so good, with Kelly.
After the break at noon, we'll meet more on our pets from the Dane County Humane Society this week. Time for Potentially Yours on a Thursday afternoon. Amy Good from the Dane County Humane Society is here with two special guests. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Who do we have here today?
Well, in our wrestling contention here, we have Pluto, the brown friend from Weather, and this is Jiminy.
Oh.
Hi.
And they're brothers.
They are brothers. They are 2 of 10 puppies from the same litter
Wow.
we just got yesterday.
All right.
So if you are looking for a puppy, we have many to choose from. Not just this litter, but several others as well.
10 weeks old, born on Christmas.
Oh, right.
Tell us about their litter and these 2 in particular.
Yeah, so Pluto's kind of the one who looks different, where he's the solid brown. A lot of them look more like Jiminy here.
Okay.
But we have boys and girls in the litter, just mostly different colors or different combinations of the black, brown, and white.
Okay.
But as you can see, they're starting to teeth a little bit. So anybody who's thinking of getting a puppy is going to need to plan for that.
Okay.
Maybe a toy would be better than my hand.
Definitely puppies. They're in the puppy phase, right?
They are definitely puppies, but they are so cute and social.
Yeah.
They were in a foster home down in Mississippi, so they are ready to go home.
Oh my gosh. I just still find it fascinating that they're siblings, even though, like, yeah, Pluto doesn't look anything like Jiminy.
No, and there's a few in the litter that are about a third of the size.
Oh my gosh.
Like super
Even
tiny.
smaller.
Wow, what in the world?
So these are the biggest of the litter.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Amy, thank you so much for introducing us
Oh,
to
they're going to
them.
be all 10 of them, I bet.
100%,
Yes.
100%. Well, hey, it may be cold outside, but DCHS is already thinking about spring break, weekend day camps, and summer camp. Registration is open for Camp Poprand, ages 7 to 12. Don't fall off the couch. And their new Camp Wild Side for young adults, ages 12 to 4. Hey, last week's pet, Sunny the cat, still available for adoptions. We got to find Sunny a home. We got to find Pluto a home, Jiminy. Remember, you can go to DCHS just by going to giveshelter.org, or you can visit them there as well. And Blaze, it's going to be nice to finally get the dogs out for a walk.
It is, yes. You know, young like these two or old like Jiminy, all pets in the Humane Society deserve some love and homes. So yes, let's find them all homes. It is finally done. The cold, 20 double-digit highs, all for the next 10 days. 40s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, folks.
Bring it.
Yes, it's going to feel so nice.
Thanks for joining us.